David Carradine is sitting in the back row of a movie premiere when the daughter of Bruce Lee turns around and asks him one question. A question she has waited 20 years to ask. What David says in the next 60 seconds does not make her angry. It makes her cry. But not the tears anyone expected. Hollywood, California. May 1993. Friday evening, 9:47 p.m. The Mann's Chinese Theater. Hollywood Boulevard, the premiere of Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. The biographical film about the martial arts legend who changed everything and died before he could see it. The theater is packed. 500 people, celebrities, martial artists, studio executives, journalists, everyone who wants to be seen at the event of the season. The front rows are reserved for the Lee family. Linda Lee sits in the center, still elegant, still composed. 20 years since her husband died, and she still carries his legacy with grace. Beside her sits Shannon Lee, 23 years old, Bruce Lee's daughter. She was 4 when he died. She has spent her entire life being the daughter of a legend she barely remembers. The film plays. 2 hours of Bruce Lee's life compressed into Hollywood storytelling. The struggles, the racism, the rejection from American television, the triumph in Hong Kong, the mysterious death. The Kung Fu section hits hard. The film shows Bruce Lee creating the concept, pitching it to studios, being told he is too Chinese for American television, watching someone else get the role he created. The someone else is not named in the film, but everyone knows. David Carradine sits in the back row. Last seat, against the wall. He was not invited. Bought a ticket like everyone else, wore a hat, kept his head down, came because he needed to see this, needed to witness the story told from the other side. He watches the Kung Fu section with his jaw tight, sees the actor playing Bruce Lee react to the rejection, sees the pain, the anger, the humiliation of being told, your own creation will be given to someone else because of the shape of your eyes. David lived the other side of that story, the side that got the role, the side that got famous, the side that never had to feel that particular rejection. He watches and feels something he has carried for 20 years. Guilt, shame, the knowledge that his success was built on another man's exclusion. The film ends. The audience erupts. Standing ovation. Tears. The catharsis of seeing a legend honored. David does not stand. Does not applaud. Just sits in the darkness waiting for the lights to come up. Waiting for the crowd to thin so he can slip out unnoticed. The lights come up slowly. People begin to move. Conversation starting. The buzz of a successful premiere. David stays seated, waiting. But then something happens. The young woman in the row in front of him does not get up, does not join the crowd moving toward the exits. Instead, she turns around in her seat, looks directly at David. Shannon Lee, Bruce Lee's daughter, looking at David Carradine. Their eyes meet. Recognition on both sides. She knows who he is. He knows who she is. 20 years of history compressed into a single glance. Shannon does not look angry, does not look hateful, looks something else, curious, searching, like she has been waiting for this moment. You are David Carradine, not a question, a statement. David nods. Yes. Shannon studies his face, looking for something. He does not know what. My mother talks about you sometimes. Says my father talked about you too, before he died. David does not know what to say. What do you say to the daughter of the man whose role you took? The daughter who grew up without a father while you grew up famous. I am sorry does not cover it. Nothing covers it. Shannon continues. I was 4 when he died. I do not remember him. Not really. I have photographs, I have films, I have stories people tell me. but I do not have him. David feels the weight of every word. I have spent my whole life being Bruce Lee's daughter. Everyone I meet tells me about my father, what he meant to them, how he changed their lives, how he was the greatest martial artist who ever lived. She pauses, but I never got to know him. The real him, not the legend. Just the dad who would have taught me to ride a bike, who would have been at my graduation, who would have walked me down the aisle someday. Her eyes are wet, but she does not look away. I have a question. One question I have wanted to ask you for 20 years, since I was old enough to understand what happened, what my father created and what you received. David braces himself, prepares for the accusation, the anger, the question he deserves. When you played Caine, when you did my father's role, his creation, did you ever think about him? Did you ever think about what it cost him? Or was it just a job? The question hangs in the air. Just a job. 3 words that could make everything David did for 4 seasons feel small, meaningless, stolen goods worn without conscience. David looks at Shannon Lee, at the eyes that look like her father's, at the young woman who grew up in a shadow she never asked for, and he tells her the truth, every single day. Shannon blinks. What? Every single day I thought about him, every morning when I put on the robes, every scene when I walked through that temple, every episode when I tried to find the stillness your father would have brought naturally. His voice cracks slightly. I never met him, but I studied him, watched every film, read every interview, talked to people who knew him, because I knew I was wearing something that belonged to someone else, and I thought, if I could understand him, even a little, maybe I could honor what he created, instead of just stealing it. Shannon is very still, listening. David continues, I was not a martial artist. I am still not. I could not do what your father did, could not move like him, fight like him. I did not have his gift, but I thought maybe I could find something else, something he would have brought that had nothing to do with fighting. What? Stillness, peace, the idea that the greatest warrior is the one who does not have to fight. Your father wrote that into the character, into Caine. It was not about the kicks and punches. It was about a man who found calm in a violent world. He wipes his eyes. I tried to honor that. Every episode. I thought if your father was watching, and I always felt like he was watching, I wanted him to see that I understood, that I was not just taking. I was trying to carry something forward. Shannon's tears fall now, but she is not sobbing, just quietly crying, the tears of something releasing. My mother said you talked about him, in interviews, that you always mentioned his name. She said most actors would have just taken the role and never looked back. I could not. How could I? The role exists because of him. Everything I became professionally exists because of him. Pretending otherwise would be a lie. And I have done a lot of things wrong in my life, Shannon. But I could not lie about that. Shannon reaches over the seat, takes David's hand, holds it. He does not expect this, does not know what to do. Thank you. For what? For thinking about him, for carrying him with you, for not letting the world forget that Caine was his creation first. She squeezes his hand. I have been angry at you my whole life, not because of anything you did, just because you were the symbol of what my father lost, the face of his rejection. It was easier to be angry at a person than at an industry. She almost smiles through her tears. But you are not what I thought. You did not steal anything. You carried something. There is a difference. David cannot speak. 20 years of guilt. 20 years of wondering if he was wrong to take the role, wrong to benefit from another man's pain. And here is that man's daughter, telling him she forgives something he never forgave himself for. Shannon releases his hand, wipes her eyes. My father believed in flow, in water, in adapting to circumstances you cannot control. He did not control what Hollywood did. You did not control it either. We were both caught in something bigger than us. She stands up. I am glad you came tonight. I am glad I turned around. I have been carrying anger for 20 years, and I am tired. She looks down at him one last time. Keep saying his name. Keep honoring what he created. That is all any of us can do. She walks away, toward her mother, toward the family that lost everything and built something new from the wreckage. David sits alone in the empty theater. The credits long finished, the screen dark, the cleaning crew starting to move through the aisles. He does not move, does not leave, just sits with what just happened. 20 years of guilt, 20 years of wondering, and a young woman who had every right to hate him, choosing to forgive instead. He thinks about Bruce Lee, about what it must have been like to create something beautiful and watch someone else wear it, about the anger Bruce must have felt, the frustration, but also about what Linda told him at the funeral, about what the letter from Bruce said, about forgiveness and water and not holding on to hot coals. Bruce Lee created Caine. David Carradine carried him, and Shannon Lee just blessed the carrying. Some permissions take 20 years to receive. Some forgiveness comes from the last person you expected. David sits in the dark theater until the cleaning crew asks him to leave. Then he walks out into the Hollywood night, past the handprints in concrete, past the stars on the sidewalk, past all the monuments to people who made it. He thinks about adding one more name to every interview he gives, Shannon Lee, telling people about the grace she showed, the forgiveness she offered, the weight she lifted, but he decides against it. Some moments are too sacred to share. Some gifts are meant to be received in silence. He keeps his promise instead, keeps saying Bruce Lee's name, keeps honoring the creation, keeps carrying what was entrusted to him. And every time he mentions Bruce Lee in an interview after that night, he thinks about Shannon, about a 4-year-old girl who lost her father, about a 23-year-old woman who found peace with a stranger in an empty theater. That is what forgiveness looks like, not the absence of pain, the choice to stop carrying it. He once said that the hardest role he ever played was not Caine, not Bill, but himself. A man caught between what he pretended to be and what he wanted to become. And maybe that is why his story still resonates, because we all know that feeling, the gap between the mask and the face beneath it. Is there a moment in your life where someone saw through your mask, or a moment where you finally took it off yourself? David Carradine walked through Hollywood for 50 years, carrying questions most people never ask out loud, about authenticity, about legacy, about what it means to be real in a world that rewards pretending. If you want to know the real stories, the ones they did not put in the interviews, you are in the right place. We are peeling back the curtain on the man behind the monk. If this story moved you, hit that like button. It helps more people discover these untold moments. Do not forget to subscribe to David Carradine, The Untold Path. We are just getting started. There are stories about the notes Bruce Lee kept, about the pilgrimage to Hong Kong, and about the letter that took 5 years to arrive. You do not want to miss what is coming next. Leave a comment below. What is your favorite David Carradine role? And did you know he carried this much weight behind the calm? I will see you in the next video. Walk the path.